understanding of some theoretical of landscape design. So today I will continue about my lecture on the ecological design in landscape architecture. So one of the important in working as a designer, so how we can contribute something to build our environment better. Of course, for if you maybe nowadays we are talking about sustainable development, the sustainable development goal, the low carbon city, the environmental approach design. So there are a lot of things people talking about how landscape architect can contribute something to building our comfortable environment for people, for those who live in the city, in the suburban area, in the urban area, in the rural side, the remote areas, as well as for our habitat. Sorry, my voice a bit lost at this time, but inshallah, I try to give my best to share with all of you. So, as a designer, okay, now we are talking about as a designer. This morning we are talking about as a designer as well, but from the skill aspect perspective. So that's why you need to always do a lot of exercises, drawings, right? But to draw to design something that great uh, uh, proposal, great ideas. So you must have some what can I say impact to our environment. How we as a designer can contribute something, not just for people but also for the habitat. So today I would like to share my lecture on ecological design. So I think as a landscape architect, we need to understand how the ecosystem work. Um I think that throughout my practice as a designer, I think that how sensitive we are in terms of when we design a place, okay, when we create a new place, or sometimes we improve the a place that we want to have more better environment. So we need to be sensitive. Sensitivity not just about people but also the ecosystem as a whole. So that's why today I would like to share about ecological design approach in landscape architecture. Okay, let me share my slide here. Sorry, because I have some a bit difficulties before on in my e-learning because they they this semester they have a new e-learning, but because to shift all my slide before, so it's taking time. But that's why for my immediate action, just to share in your WhatsApp group. So inshallah after this lecture, so I will share it again to you. Okay, can you see my slide?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Okay, not sure whether you can. If I change this slide, this is the title. Can you see this
Yes.
sitting area?
Yes.
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 Yeah, okay, it's moving, right? So I mean
Yes.
the seat is moving. So today, very not so. I hope that it's not my longer lecture. So I just give you a bit brief on ecological design. Then later on, I would like to give some quick exercise to you. Okay, this is when we talk about environmental design or ecological design. So sometimes we need to complement when we build something, a structure, or we build something new, so we need to complement with the existing condition of the site. So the importance of ecological design, how we create something balance between our development and also the existing condition of the site. And most one of the important aspect is to extract or to establish back the ecosystem. Example, how the new development can attract more habitat later on, can recover something that maybe we lost during the development process. So for example, you can see from this picture shows the the seating and the walkway is this is the new, but how it can be a part of the environmental design. So you can see some opening in the at the seating area. So they plant grass that can merge with the surrounding of the grass character and grass. So it shows that how the it's not really a solid structure. It complements to the existing green. So we didn't see the structure dominant, but when we, then you can balance up between the man-made structure and the existing landscape of this particular site. And when we're talking about the ecological design, is derived from the three main components. First, talking about sustainability. When we're talking about sustainability, of course, that we need to see what already happened in the past, current, and in the future. How the design can be sustained for the next coming years. Example, if you look in the short time and also in the long term or period. So sustainability is another important aspect that need to be considered. So we're talking about sustainability. It covers three main components, which are the environment, social, and also economy. So whatever we do, we need to contribute something to the environment, to the social aspect, and also to the economical aspect. Talking about sustainability, of course, that maybe you can read a lot of about sustainable development. So I urge you, I'm very pleased. Hopefully, you can read a lot of article on how to understand the sustainable development goal. Nowadays, people talking about the sustainable development goal. There are some standard to achieve that. The indication of your design, for example, the energy saving, right? Producing more uh, what I can say here, oxygen, then carbon emission, reduce the carbon emission. Okay, then the design as well. So it's something that we need to design. So when we're talking about ecological design, it's cannot just to maintain it, right? When we want to bring people in, so we need to provide some facilities. For example, river exists because of the landform and the water flow, right? But how to make the river become part of the social place? So we need to create a facilities in order for us to bring. Now, can you see the diagram in front of you?
Yes, teacher. Can see.
Yes.
Okay. I need to ask because I'm not sure whether my slide is running smoothly or not. Okay, design is something that you are trying to blend, trying to create, but you must sensitive in terms of taking care of the existing ecosystem, or it's something that you can contribute to establish more better the ecosystem. And the third one about the ecology. So considering of the ecological aspect, the habitat needs, okay, the living things component, right? How is work as a system, a whole system. So that's why it's very important when talking about the ecological design, how we can consider the reaction of human, the reaction of habitat into this planning and design ideas. So what is an ecological system? An ecosystem is a complex set of relationship. Of course, that when we're talking about the ecological component, so one of the important is about to establish the relationship, the integration among all living resources. So not just us as a human being, but also for habitat, vegetation, so all living things, including waters and so on and so on and so forth. That's why we need to look more in bigger scale. It's not just about animal, not just about habitat, but it also need to be covered. For example, soil, isn't it? Geology, like microorganism. Yeah. So all living things in the world. So when ecosystem is healthy, so then it will giving a direct impact to the what we talk about sustainability. What we mentioned about sustainability, right? So ecosystem must be healthy, working. Okay, so every living things can run smoothly as a what I can say here, relationship. Yeah, so means that all the elements live in balance and are capable of reproducing themselves. So, so when talking about the ecological design, so we bring people in to the nature, but at the same time we want to restore, we want to conserve, we want to establish the uniqueness of green ecosystem for people to be utilized. Yeah, so it's not just maintain. Of course, there are some part we can claim as a conservation areas, but there are some part that we you can bring people coming in. For example, you can see the diagram shows the white line there, how the pedestrian networking, established to connect people from one place to another. So and also from the built from area from the township to the river. And you can't see much development there because of river very rich with the ecosystem, not just about the water engineering, low tide and high tide, but also the living resources such as bird, fish, all aquatic plants, all this producing food, and they are much related to each other. So you can see the diagram as well. So we need to consider the riparian zone. So between the line of the road uh, next to the building, maybe I can use. You can see the road and the river. So this is maybe some part of it. You bring people coming in to establish the pedestrian, and some part you just maintain as a green areas. Same like this. Of course, in the new development nowadays, there are many intention in bringing nature to the to close to people. Of course, like I said to you, people love nature, so that's why when holidays comes to them, so they will take long holiday. They're going to somewhere, isn't that they're going to waterfall, they're going to the coastal side beach, because naturally we are part of nature. So that's why we believe in our religion in Islam, so that we've been created by from the nature, soil, and also we will back to nature later on after we die. So that's why what you can see here, there are many development, trying to bring back all this natural element ecosystem to our city, to our residential areas, to the built environment. But again, that of course they need more carefully in terms of selection of plants, how what the engineering working. So all this is important to be considered. So what you can see here, you know, maybe a long time ago we see the open rain, but now if you go to Singapore or many country, so the monsoon rain almost covered by planting bed. Underneath, they have a subsoil drain. So the drain flow water only from the rain to the river. So all the water from building, example, this building, all the water services, not go straight to the river or to the monsoon drain. So they go to somewhere, the water treatment plant. Then over there, they do some treatment of the water quality, so they remove some of the particle and all that, um, uh, reprocess our material before they flush back to the drain and goes to the river. So the process is very important to be understand, because of that is how we establish the ecosystem. So now in the coming future, there are no direct drain from the premise building to the monsoon drain, and monsoon drain to the river. Otherwise, all the curry, all the waste food, people throw it, right? Throw it in the drain, then it goes flush back to the river. That's why our river become polluted. So that's why they need to know the ecosystem. So one of the important aspect, they call it the green infrastructure, that covers a lot of things, especially in the green approach development. So this is another concept. For example, like in the city nowadays, there are many of what they call it the sustainable agriculture. So it's not easy to plant vegetable, to plant food. They're producing food in our cities. So they need to find some alternative. For example, to change the podium level, become a edible garden. They plant all the vegetable next to their home. For example, in China, in Japan, because they can use it later on as part of the human resources. Yeah. producing food, energy, uh, compost. Okay, so the process is important to be understand. So in terms of ecology, so it's defined as a scientific discipline. It's a process, ecosystem, right? It's a scientific process. So concerned with the relationship. So of course, all living things are much integrated. You see, the air, the water, animal, right, vegetation, all that become a one process. If you damage one living thing, you will damage the whole thing of the living system. So that's why it's very important when we design or do the ecological, the built environment, we need to consider using this ecological approach. That's why in this photo shows the existing wetland could be interesting to be seen and to be experienced because of the walkway. So of course, maybe without this infrastructure, without these facilities, you cannot get yourself crossing this wetland. So that's why with the producing of the structure, light structure, and you can see the gap, you can also feel the environment of this wetland that close to you. Sebab tu dalam reka bentuk ni, in the design form, so you create like this, so you are creating kind of facilities to attract people to coming in. This is what we call ecological design. So as an ecosystem as well, to any geographic area that include all the organism and non-living, living and non-living parts of their physical environment. So the system is a process that connected all components. And we're talking about the biodiversity. Okay, the biodiversity refers to the variety of life form. So of course, for example, vegetation, soil, habitat. So even if you look the when we plant certain vegetation, so the vegetation attract birds, species, attract butterfly. So the biological diversity of that particular area are increased. Okay, because of the improvement of the green structure, the food environment for the particular habitat. Okay, so this is one of the important when we're talking about the ecological design. So ecosystem is a community of living organism, can derive from plants, animal, and microbes in conjunction with the non-living components of the environment. Things like air, water, and mineral soil are much interacting as a system. So the process of ecosystem actually not just about the mechanical components, but also us as a human being, how we can contribute to the ecosystem. For example, if we are taking care of the rubbish, for example, we are taking care of the utilization of the water, isn't it? So you're taking care of the cleanliness. All that is important to the whole environment. So your contribution are much bigger, even though you just pick one or two item. Okay, if you can imagine that if people are repeating the the organization of the waste material, so it will give very high impact to the cleanliness of the river or to the place. So this is one example at Spice Garden Planning. So the designer maintain the structure of the landform. So you can see this is the playground that fitted along the sloping side, okay, and with some trees over there. So this shows that the structure of this playground are much complements to the existing landform. So that's why when we talk about ecological design, so we are not damaging the chop of the trees there. So we maintain some trees and we'll fill up with the uh, playground equipments. So you can see it's very interesting without damaging maybe 100% of the land structure there. So you introduce how the landscape component can be organized, can be redesigned according to the existing character of the landscape. So kalau tengok kat situ dia punya slide it follows the landform and even the staircase as well as the scale of this mechanical. This is another example. So the designer introduced this pavilion. Then you can see the trees are maintained. The trees are already maintained there, and they provide skylight. Can get more sun access to the pavilion, and you can see there the conservation of the trees and also the surrounding of this particular building. So bila kita katakan ecological design ni, when we talk about ecological design, you must minimize any impact to the existing and also the surrounding character of the landscape. So this is another example of inspired garden. Instead of just clear up, making more horizontal space, so the landform or the feature wall there, so it can become another attraction. Okay, so we're maintaining the uh, uh, landform. Okay, so to build this access, for example, for the service buggy, so it's consider the aging of the road. Okay, not damaging the existing landform, but you can see even when they introduce this block, so they plant some climbers there to soften the structure. Okay, this is our design in one of the flat in Johor Bahru. So you can see a very bad environment in 2016. Okay, 2016 is almost, we are in the 21st century. But however, there are many people living here. So they call us UTM to come in to create some activities for the community. Then we suggest to establish the ecological design, transforming the courtyard, the bare courtyard become a public space. Then we plant all the vegetable there. So another important words to be understand on the ecological design is what urban greenery. Urban greenery is as awareness of sustainability and of the environmental impact urban growth, greening for the residential and commercial building gains recognition. So from here, one of the important nowadays, you go to KL, go to Johor Bahru, Singapore, you can see more of the street, not just about having a nice landscape, but also the every corner of the city also already provide some greeneries there. So there are another effort, for example, the farming in the city. There are many empty land, for example, underneath of the cable line, right? So you can plant a vegetable, right? So maybe you can find some spaces in the residential area. So also you can plant the vegetable or you can have a farming activity there. In Singapore, it's very tight. There are no space on the land. So most of them using car parking as well as the podium to plant, to have a farming garden. Okay, another keyword is about green infrastructure. When we talk about green infrastructure, it's also related much to the green development. So GI is comprises of all natural, semi-natural, and artificial networks, and the concept emphasizes the quality as well as quality of urban and peri-urban green spaces. So all these changes must be interconnected. Okay, so through green infrastructure is landscape linkages that connect existing preserve or natural areas and provide sufficient space for native plant and animal to flourish while serving as corridor connecting ecosystem. So green infrastructure, if you can understand that, is another approach in building back the green to the city. So normally in a very quick time and in a very long term of period. So this is an example of how we make our city green. So not just about the design, but also you need to choose a selection of the plants that can provide canopy, can attract birds there, right, to create a more cooling effect. so on and so forth. So that's why whatever we think about the green infrastructure are something that the infrastructure can contribute to the people and nature. This photograph shows the different type of typology of this river Chongkechong in Seoul. So at one time, underneath of the highway is a river. So then during the industrialization era, so they changed from the river to the highway, and then in 20 something, so they changed back from the from the street to become a river because the mayor of the city are much keen to develop a green corridor there. So this is the image of the Chongkechong River. So you can take a look. You can see how active they are when they use this
Teacher,
space. Hello.
the
Doctor, I think you just
this
stopped
one.
presenting.
Oh, oh, that's him. Okay, okay. Let me show you again. So last, what is the last photo?
The river.
The
The
river.
river.
Okay, can you see this river?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
Yes.
before this one. Before this one.
yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that one.
You know, this is how we are thinking the importance of the creating back the river. So in the early years, so they have a river in the city, but during the industrialization era, so where cars or vehicle dramatically increased, so they built a highway, okay, on top of the river, and they close up with the highway. Then in the 20th after in 20 something, so the many of this soul, he's got some technical background. He asked the council to change back from the highway to the river because to make a river more as a social space and can be a balance up between the gray, the building and the nature. So this is the character. So you can see here, people using for various type of activities, not just for not just for adults, but also for kids, for elderly, so they can have some exercises there. Right. At the same time, they also can learn about the habitat in this river. And here as well, so you can see this is some typology images of this particular river. So every corner they have a different type of visual aspect. So you can see on top of it. So you can see the building, the highway cover up the river. Oops. So the green infrastructure also can be related to the green wall development, also can be related to urban agriculture, urban woodlands, suburban streets, parks, garden, pocket spaces, right? Natural resources, river, lakes, mountain. That also can be integrated via urban green infrastructure. And the green infrastructure, I think one of the approach need to carefully connected with the existing street, the rooftop, okay, the pocket parks, the private gardens, urban plaza, until these local natural resources. Okay, so this is just to see the different type of district. So every type of the area will consist of different type of needs in the green infrastructure scale. So you can see, for example, like the creation of city and parks, urban canal and waterways, green networks, multi-user road, urban commons, forest park. So all this actually is a place that we must deal with the green infrastructure. So this is example in Malacca. So whereby the heritage site need to be conserved, where instead of bring it down. So we lost this what can I say, the heritage. It's not just about building, but also heritage can derive from the vegetation, where some trees are long, sometimes maybe longer than building, because the age of the trees may be around 200 years. But unfortunately, because of the new development, so the trees been chopped out, then it's replaced with the uh, small garden or trees. So this is in Tokyo. So you can see that how the trees can come in, not just about in front of the building, on the street, but also it can be part of the building if you can maintain certain character of the plants to the environment. And also, for example, like the aesthetical value or quality, for example, how the space can be relevant for the public to be used, can be a place for any events, right? As well as how you taking care of the various type of users. Another important aspect in talking about the ecological design is how we cater for the human health aspect. This human health aspect can come from the how the green space can be part of the environment of the particular areas. So the human health aspect, for example, you have a greenway, people can have some exercises in the morning, in the afternoon, so they can ride their bicycle, they can walk along the river, along the forest, so they have some therapy. So that's why the human health aspect can be significant in this study. And if you can take a look, this Padang Club Polo, Kuala Lumpur. So in 1887, it's bigger, right? It's bigger, but now become shrinking, smaller, 1930 and also to 2008. So from here you can see that the trend of conserving the heritage building are much more significant in terms of reduction of the original of the area. So you can see here it's only we can have a dataran supplanted by grass to show it a green, but other areas a bit a kind of a compact development area. So in 2000, in our government nation in 2005, so the government launched the concept of new metropolitan region in Kuala Lumpur. So they have, you can see the patches of green over there along this spread out from the city center, and but it's connected back with the street and road. So that's why you can see all this ring. You see the road coming in and connected the habitat from one place to another. Same like KLCC Park. Originally, KLCC Park was developed from the equestrian, the horse ride depot. Now it's since become a public park. So we can maintain at least in the 20 years coming up. So the provision of oxygen are much more greater, and also for the habitat, the establishment of the habitat. So you can see there are some changes made in the river of Sungai Klang, Sungai Gombak. So you can see they already introduced some treatment, electric treatment, such as the water embankment. All right, they introduced a different type of material. Yeah, and maybe you can also read River of Life. In this project, is very big project endorsed by the government. So the objective of the river beautification is to master plan and beautify 10.7 kilometer Klang and Gombak River. So the River of Life trying to bring back the soul of Sungai Gombak back to the community. But of course, unfortunately, that there must be have many suggestion and also ideas incorporating with the community. So this is the image how the landscape changed at the PWC station. So that's why you can see there in this in Kuala Lumpur. So this rock is a original rock, but it's put it here to create more weir and in order to establish the food supply. for the habitat, yeah, especially the aquatic habitat. So and in addition in addition, so in the building uh, a nature as a national a national garden. So in 2000, I think there are a lot of public spaces are created around us, including, for example, like SCC Park, Taman Tasik Puteri, and some other lakes garden as well. This map actually shows how they're fragmented of the green, but unfortunately the green are not well connected. So we need to do a lot of exercises in terms of connecting all these green patches. So this is another example how in the master plan they already include the importance of greenway. Example, the greenway that can be part of the green infrastructure there. So this is in Cyberjaya, for example, not just about at this time I'm aware that there are a lot of pattern changes of development pattern are made, such as the fashioning of courtyard in the city center of Cyberjaya. Okay, so you can see the landscape in between block. So all this important because it shows that how people live there, working there. It's not in the in out of nowhere or maybe in the very heavy traffic. But when you organize all this landscape with strong integration with the building, so we can have more space, more interesting looks, and also we contribute to the society and nature. So this is in Cyberjaya, Japan. So one of the important talking about the ecological design is about the pedestrian and networking. So some people say that so it's not important, but we need to understand as a whole. We want to when we want to create a more green development, so we need to know the whole system. I can imagine that last time when I walk from one end to another end, the red line is really connected to all landscape patches there. For me, it's very interesting. So we can wash our hand, we can wash our face. So they have a lot of some attraction to bring people walking from one point to another. So this is in Tsukuba Science City. So you can see there are a lot of green. So you can see the pattern are not much dense, okay, not so much compact. So there are a lot of green there because it's a planned city. Okay, so they organize it where they want to put the gallery of this city, where they want to put the university, where they want to put the housing, where they want to establish the green park. So you can see all the green patches there are the part of the park and is well connected with the green line as a pedestrian. So this is in Tsukuba. So you can see not just far from the home site, but you can also bring the nature to their place. So this is in Setagaya Ward in Japan. I went there in 2015 or 14. So I love this place because of very clean and organized, the river and the walkway. Even you can see like a garden when you walk from one place to another. Uh, so that's why for me it's very important to have to see some example like this. For example, now you can see some birds, fish are playing together and watching by people. So we walk along the way. We see it's very interesting. We can see fish there. We can see some living things up there. So this will increase the habitat creation of this particular area and also in for Tokyo. So you can see the fish and the system being installed there, right? Of course, we need to avoid any vandalism, but however, it shows that how clean the water is. Okay, this one I just create the infrastructure. So another important when talking about ecological design, there are some city are lack of public space, so they change into the rooftop garden. For example, now this is in I forgot the Woodland or Yishun complex. So if we have a free time, so you can coming back to UTM, so we can take you to Singapore. So the ecological design also drive not just about a plain space. It can be at a vertical space whereby, for example, you work with the architect, so you can plant some material, some vegetation in the viewing deck or platform, okay, as well as the parking space. So we need that kind of setting nowadays. This is example, and of course in Putrajaya there are a lot of things there because it's a planning city, it's a planned city, so they have a very interesting landscape features there. I think this one I will skip a bit. Okay, maybe you can see in the ecological aspect, so the benefit are can be divided into three: neighborhood stability, public health, and also environmental remediation. So in the neighborhood sustainability, or sorry, stability, so the building social cohesion is very important. The child education, adult work training as well. So you can see the photo here, how the new development, the structure can go inside the forest, can go inside the Cocos Nucifera. All right, and of course that the light structure, you cannot build a heavy structure there, so you just use a light structure. But it's very interesting when you start organizing it. Okay, I think that this is some of the example of green buildings. Okay, the urban green areas as well. The ecological value. So when you go to the wall, when you want to create something or to take a photo, so you must see there are some people not allowed and there are some people allowed. Okay, for example, especially in the public space like this. This is in Bishan. So without any infrastructure, people cannot go to the wetland, right? So they must have some infrastructure for them to bring in there. Okay, I think we are almost at the end. So the ecological value of urban green system can be seen as a challenging concern for the analysis of man, nature, and relation. So the landscape harmony understood as adjusting the way of land use and land management to the character and potential of the area with the need to maintain high aesthetic values. So my remark basically, whatever we design, we need to consider two. One, for family, our friends, our parents, of course. Then the second one is more like your, uh, the how the development can give an impact to the habitat and also the surrounding. So I think that that's all my lecture today. I give you some a bit glance about the importance of the greeneries, the urban green in the terms of the ecological approach, and also the impact of this through the ecological development. Okay, is there any question from you guys?
No.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I will share this slide to you in your WhatsApp group. Then later on, I will maybe next week I will start give you an assignment. We have assignment before, right? If you remember.
Yes.
Okay,
It
so next week I will
about the
give you,
part.
yeah.
Yeah, the part.
So yeah, then later on I will to asking you to get a one reference study or case study about the ecological design. So that I think we will discuss
Okay.
later. All right, with that, thank you very much to everyone. See you next week. Okay, have a good rest.
Thank
You
you,
teacher.
Thank you,
Oh, sorry.
doctor.
Let me open up. Let me open up this entrance. Oh, academic. Sorry, wait. Academic. Your attendance.
What?